All right, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Monday Motivation. Hope you're having a wonderful start to your week as usual. All right, this is the time where we talk about the mindset habits of your transformation. What helps you to move forward? What keeps you moving forward? And we've been talking about identity. We start with, I am the program, the realization that I am the program, and that is so key to getting amazing results and moving forward. Really coming up with your deep why, and then your non-negotiables. What are those non-negotiable habits that you're practicing daily? Non-negotiable means they're non-negotiable. They mean that they don't depend on your schedule. They don't depend on your circumstances. They don't depend on your work. They don't depend on how busy you are. They don't depend on anything in your life, where you are on vacation, visiting family. They don't depend on anything. They are non-negotiable. These are the habits you practice, and you're consistent with these habits. And remember, we talk about consistency. Consistency is not perfection, right? Consistency means you are consistent. It doesn't mean that you have to get it right all the time. It means you're consistent, which means you're practicing them more than you're not practicing them, right? 8 out of 10 is consistent, right? Anything less than an 8 out of 10 is not consistent. So that is always what you want to strive for, consistency, not perfection, okay? So today, let's continue the conversation about what is going to take you forward and actually knowing where you are. Guys, this is something I've been thinking about because I talk to so many clients every day, and I hear all the time, well, why am I not further along? Well, you're not further along because of the level of your participation, the level of your commitment to your transformation. This is what this is. It's a commitment to your transformation. And some of you are just barely scratching the surface, while others who are getting amazing results. I've got a lot of clients who are getting amazing results. And here's the difference. They are invested in their transformation. And the clients who are barely getting by, well, they're just scratching the surface. So let's talk about the levels of transformation, guys. Because, transformation doesn't just happen when you have a great plan or when motivation strikes. Transformation happens when you raise your level of commitment. I want you to understand that you got to raise your level of commitment. So the quality of your results will always match the quality of your commitment. Do I have to say that again? The quality of your results will always match the quality of your commitment. So let's break down what real commitment looks like from on a scale of 1 to 5. I'm going to give 5 levels so that you can find out exactly where you are and what it's going to take to get you to the next level. I see a lot of you are at level 1. Level 1 is the initiator, right? You're showing up. And this is the minimum required effort to move forward, right? The initiator. This is where, everyone begins at the initiator level, level 1. And you're kind of testing the waters. You got 1 foot in, you got 1 foot out. You're the person who say, I'll try it to see if it works, right? You're still at that trial mode. And, you've decided that you care about your health and you're taking your first steps. That's where you are. You're taking your first steps, right? You may be logging into the app as we ask you to, checking your messages once a week, every once in a while. You share a few meals, maybe squeeze in a workout here and there, but life is still getting in the way. You're not fully consistent yet but you're still moving forward. And that's what matters, right? It matters that you're moving forward. And I tell my clients that the one thing that's required for 80% of your results is, share your meals with me or your coach so that we know what you're doing and we can give you feedback and guidance. For me, it's share a days of meals. For most other coaches, it's share your meal plan. It's planning your meals. I care more about seeing what you're doing so I can give you feedback on what you're actually doing. And That's level 1. That's the minimum required. If you're not doing that, then chances are you're just crawling along, right? You're thinking about your meals, but you're just getting started. You're getting your feet wet. That is the minimum required to move forward. And that's okay. We're not judging you where you are. You're moving forward. And this is an important step forward, right? Because every transformation begins here. The goal isn't mastery, it's motion. Guys, I want you to understand that the goal isn't mastery, it's motion. It's moving forward, being in motion, being in process. Because once you're in process, you're moving forward, and that is going to take you somewhere else. Just like, I've been doing this for 30 years, and a lot of times I see clients who just muck around for about a year and get absolutely no results, and then all of a sudden something clicks. And within a matter of months, they've achieved more than they did the previous year. You see? So as long as you're moving forward, that's the important thing. So level 1 is the initiator. Right? You're doing the minimum required, but you're still in the game, and that's what's important. Level 2 is the participant. You're building structure. Now you're starting to take it a little more seriously, right? This is your process. You're logging meals, you're sharing meals. Maybe you're reaching out to your coach, several times a week. You're joining a group call here and there. You're following your plan. And you're probably about, 50, 60% of the time, you're on plan. You're about a 5, 6 out of a 10, right? But you're moving forward, right? You're building routines. You're learning what triggers you, and you're starting to understand your body. You're starting to understand your process, but, things still feel a bit fragile. You haven't built those systems yet, right? Progress here is your early wins, and you have some small wins because you're making some new choices, and you're growing in awareness, right? So the focus is, what you want to focus on at this level is you're starting to build some non-negotiables and understand the process of having non-negotiables. Things like your daily hydration, things like movement and sleep, the basic foundational habits. You understand that these are important, right? And these will eventually become the foundation of your consistency because you're moving forward and you're doing something. So this is level 2. You're a little bit more invested. You've gone from being the initiator to the participant. You're participating in your process. To take it to the next level, level 3, now you really start getting into being consistent. This is the level of the investor. Level 3 is the investor, right? You focus on consistency over motivation. You don't rely on motivation. You focus on being consistent, right? You're in the game. And you're not relying on motivation anymore. You're beyond that. You're showing up because you've decided that this is no longer optional. This is your process. This is who you are. This is who you're becoming. This is no longer optional. You know that you want the goal, and your consistency, you're about at a 70%, 7 out of 7 to 80%, 7 to 8 out of 10. Right? You're in touch with your coach regularly. You're attending, group calls regularly. You're practicing your daily rituals. You're doing your food prep, your movement, your mindset. You're in the game. You're invested. And this is where your identity starts to shift. Right? You're no longer trying to get healthy. You're becoming someone who takes care of their body. You're becoming that person who is healthy, fit, and strong. You are the investor. Right? So this is a time where, you're building resilience and you're building your bounce back ability, right? Your slip ups don't derail you anymore. They redirect you because you don't rely on motivation. You rely on consistency. So this is the level where you're invested, guys. This is the level where you're about 7, 8 out of a 10. You're invested in your process. You're showing up. You're reaching out to your coach. You're coachable. You're getting the coaching. You're involved in your process. I've got a lot of clients who are here. This is where you start to see real results, when you become invested. Now, that is going to lead you to the next level, level 4, the level of the owner. This is the level where it's identity driven. This is where you're stepping into full ownership, right? You follow through 85 to 90% of the time. You follow through. Even when life gets messy, even when you're in the messy middles, you follow through, right? You've learned that setbacks are feedback, not failure. Setbacks are feedback. You plan your deviations, you know your triggers, and you're no longer reactive. You're strategic. You're a planner. You're moving forward. This is who you are. You do things based on identity. So you're coming from a place of I am healthy, fit, and strong, and that is what drives your habits, right? You maintain all your core habits, your movement, nutrition, mindset, sleep, because you're the owner. This is who you are. This is about identity. You are living the lifestyle, not following a plan. You are the program, and you understand that, right? This is a stage where I see some of you, you're helping others, right? You're sharing insight and you're modeling consistency. You're participating in the group. You've gotten great results, and you're sharing what you've done with others, and you're helping others to get great results. You are the owner. You don't just talk transformation, you embody transformation. And I can think quite a few of my clients who are at this level, and I see their involvement in really shaping the process for others. And this is a powerful place to be, right? Because consistency at this place, this is what's going to take you to the 5th level of your transformation. And that is the level of the master. Level 5 is the level of the master. You have unshakable consistency. Now, this is rare air. You're up there with rare Air Jordan, right? This is unshakable. You're not doing it because you have to. You're doing it because it is who you are. This is about your identity. This is who you are. You're almost 100% consistent all the time. I never go for 100%, but let's say you're 95 to 100% consistent with your core habits. You plan your deviations, you bounce back instantly, and you inspire others simply by being you. You inspire those around you simply by being you because they see you. They see what you do. And you don't have to say a word. You inspire others because you have that unshakable consistency. Your identity is fully aligned. I am healthy. I am fit. I am strong. I am consistent. That is who you are. And transformation isn't something you're chasing anymore. It's something you've become. Let me repeat that. At this level, transformation isn't something you're chasing. It is something you've become. Right? So the focus now for you is on legacy. It's on maintaining your growth, mentoring others, evolving as you grow. You're still in that process of evolution. You've become the person who never goes back. That is who you're becoming. The person who bounces forward, who never goes back. When you fall, you get right back up and you get right back in the game. Because this is who you are. You are the master. You have achieved unshakable consistency. Now, I hope you can see yourself where you are. I hope I've given you enough to see yourself where you are, guys. And I want you to take the time this week to really try and see yourself where you are. Where are you in this process? Right? These 5 levels aren't about perfection. They're about progression. It's about progress and consistency. Right? You don't jump from level 1 to level 5 overnight. You climb, you fall, you climb again. You climb, you fall, you climb again. But with every level, your identity deepens, your consistency strengthens, your transformation solidifies. Commitment is not about intensity, guys. It's about identity. And this is what takes you forward. Let me repeat. With every level, You climb, you fall, you get up, you climb again, and you keep reaching higher. Because every level you achieve, your identity deepens, your consistency strengthens, your transformation solidifies. So this is what you're after. These are the 5 levels that will take you where you're going. And your challenge this week is to identify your current level. And I want you to be honest about that. Where are you? Right? Are you at level 1? Are you the initiator? You're showing up, but you're putting in minimum effort. Are you the participant? You're building some structure. You're about a 5, 6 out of a 10. Right? Are you the investor? Level 3. You're consistent over motivation. You don't rely on motivation anymore. You rely on identity, right? You're at a level 7 to 8 out of a 10, right? With your habits, right? You're building identity. Your identity is shifting. Are you at level 4, the owner? You're identity driven. Your actions are based on identity. You're about a 9 out of a 10 in consistency. Because what you do comes from identity. You fail, you get up, you bounce back, and you keep moving forward. Right? You're not reactive, you're strategic in your process. Are you at level 5, the master with unshakable consistency? People at this level often have gotten major results. They're where they want to be, and they're working on legacy. They're working on continually evolving into that identity. Right? They own who they are. I am healthy, I am fit, I am strong. I am the program, I am the transformation I seek. You are at that I am stage. You're just working to deepen your transformation. So here's what I want you to focus on this week, guys. I want you to repeat to yourself often. I am not following a program, I am the program. My level of commitment defines my results, and my results are proof of who I have decided to become. I am not following a program, I am the program. My level of commitment defines my results, and my results are proof of who I've decided to become. So I want you to stay consistent. I want you to stay committed. And I want you to stay unstoppable this week. I want you to focus on where you are. And it's okay where you are. There is no judgment. If you're at level 1, great, you're still in the game. You're moving forward. So own that and take the next step in your consistency this week to move forward. Make a commitment to move forward. Make a commitment to get to level 2. Right? Go from the initiator to being a participant. Wherever you are, make that commitment to get to that next level. Make a commitment to deepen where you are and to move forward. This is not meant for you to judge yourself. This is meant for you to be aware of where you are and therefore what it takes to get you to the results you seek. The results you seek depends on who you are, who you become, and that level of commitment that you have. Your commitment defines your results. So if you want big results, you got to become committed to your own transformation. I hope this has been helpful.